Teachers, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in a student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wayne in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Show X on VTWProductions.com. You're listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT on the 23rd of July, 2017. We're joined by our good friend Ken. How are you doing today, sir?
I am good, my man. I'm actually just managing to make it today due to computer issues and Linux issues in general.
Oh no!
But I'm here. I'm here though, and it's working technically. I tried to install Windows, you see, and then it didn't.
On your Linux box?
Yeah, I was trying to replace Steam OS because I figured. Okay, well, we'll talk about it in a second. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing good. I am happy to be here. Excited to see everybody again this week and to get ready to talk about all kinds of good and geeky things. Especially because I'm trying to think if I did anything non-geeky this week. But we'll get into that, like you said. So let's go ahead and kick things off right away with a little bit of
functional deviations.
So Ken, what have you been up to that hasn't been geeky this week?
Well, a couple of things. I've been working quite a lot in my free time as well as my normal time, and so that's been taking up a lot of my time. But yeah, well, let me continue on talking about Linux. So this pain in the ass system.
What?
So as you all know,
a pain in the butt?
I hate Linux. For me, I love that it exists. I love how useful it is for servers and for other people who know how to use it. But as an amateur, it sucks. It's just horrible.
Hey, I always go to that. Thank goodness for Linux, because we absolutely need something for essentially all of the. For servers and back-end things.
Yeah,
something
totally.
that can run super lightweight and just run basically no graphics and just code behind the scenes. We need Linux for that, right? And that's what it does great at. But when it comes to a user experience and doing anything you would do in a daily, this is how I live life, unless you are a coder or something, I don't know why you would ever want Linux in your daily life.
Well, I am a coder, and I still don't find much of a use for it. I mean, not that I don't think it is useful. I think it is. I have a lot of friends who use it, a lot of colleagues who use it, and it is definitely a useful thing. But I personally just, every time I try to use it, I end up, like, for example, at one point today, I was trying to install Windows, right? Okay. And so that's fairly simple. What you do, get a USB. All right, you get USB, you download Windows ISO, or you get it from wherever you need to get it from, and you download some kind of tool to install the ISO file, which is just a special file which contains the entirety of Windows, right? And you put it onto this USB so that it can install from this USB. Because if you imagine the main hard disk, right, this main lot of memory inside the machine, it can't take from itself to replace itself, right? That's not doable. It just can't do that. It just doesn't make sense.
You have to have somewhere for the software that's originally going to run everything to exist. And if you're doing a fresh PC install, it doesn't magically come with Windows. The pre-built systems, they install it for you. So you either need a disk if you still have a CD or DVD drive on a computer, which is getting rare and rare this year. Or, it's just as we go forward, less and less physical media drives exist other than USB connections or the internet. But you still need a way to first configure that system. And so in this case, the thumb drive is usually what I've been seeing more and more. But it's
the go-to nowadays.
And so you have your thumb drive, you have Windows installed on it as a bootable device.
Yes. Well, that was the plan anyway. But to do that, I need to get the software which would allow me to install the ISO file onto the USB disk. No problem. I know of a dozen of these bits of software that's available on Windows. There must be loads available for Linux, and there are. There's loads of things available. So I go to get these things. I go to download them. So I find one that's so because Steam OS, which is what I have, is technically a form of Debian. You don't need to know all this. Is more for the technical minded out there.
Yeah.
But your average listener there, don't worry about knowing all these terms because I don't really know them either. because I know that it's a base build of Debian, every time I Google anything, I ask for it in Debian format because SteamOS people don't cater for specifically very much. So I look for a USB ISO installer for Debian, and I find a couple .deb files, which is fine. So I downloaded one of these things. I can't remember which one it was, as a .deb file.
Okay.
And there's a default GUI based installer you can use. So just double click on the file, and it'll install. Great, easy peasy. Double click, and it says installation failed. Doesn't give you any reason why. It just says it failed. I was like, okay. Just because I don't really want to try and go down this route of troubleshooting this and trying to solve it. Instead, what I'm going to do is find another one. So I found another one.
Okay.
I downloaded that, and the same thing happened. Failed to install straight away. So I thought, okay, I have a vague understanding of Linux. There's some dependency issue here. So I download all the dependencies by using terminal and typing in a bunch of commands. Google being my friend and helping me through this, holding my hand.
Yay, Google.
And I hit go. And it installs. I'm like, okay, brilliant, it's installed. And I try to run it, and it says, oh no, you're not running it. You can't run it this way. You gotta run it as sudo. I was like, oh, okay, I'll sudo run it.
Oh
so
God,
I ran
that
it
is
as
a Linux
admin.
thing I hate. Oh my God.
So I ran it as admin, and then it runs. I'm like, great, okay. So now install this file, and it goes, oh, that file is Windows. This one doesn't work with Windows. This one only works with other Linux files. Oh, okay. So I go back to the original USB installer software I wanted to install. I install that with the dependencies and go through all that thing. I sudo run it to install the ISO onto the USB disk, and it says, okay, we can do that. The warning, this is not made for Windows stuff. It's not made for it, but it may work. I was like, this is the most popular one available, so okay, I'm going to go with it. I imagine it'll be fine.
Assume, yeah.
So I tell it to go. 25 minutes later, it says it's finished. It's verified it as well.
Woo-hoo.
It says it's all verified and good. Cool, okay. So I jump out. I check my BIOS, my basic input-output system, the sort of base bit of software and hardware which runs...
It tells the base physical
starts up
components.
your hardware.
Yeah, it tells your components
Yeah.
and hardware how to interact with each other so that they can read other media.
It's your basic bootstrap functions, and the way that I've always been taught it is a bootstrap is literally imagined as it's named. Think of it as trying to put your boot on. It's kind of difficult, and you have a little strap around the back you can pick your finger in and pull up with. Right? That's a bootstrap. Makes it a little bit easier. That's what the BIOS is there for. So I go in there and I check, and I tell it that it needs to run straight away from USB, not from the hard disk. Don't run the normal thing. Run from USB. Okay, that's definitely fine. I check it. I save the BIOS settings. I restart. And it goes straight to SteamOS again. And I go, okay, that's not good. Let me try a different port. Maybe that's all it was. So I try that, and it goes straight to SteamOS again. And I say, okay, let me go to the boot menu itself and tell it to run from USB in case the original BIOS settings didn't run. And I go there, and it doesn't see it. It's not there. So I say, crap, it's not there. Let me try again. So I go back into SteamOS. I leave the USB in, I install it again using the same method that I had before, and then I restart it, I check the BIOS, I tell it to run again, and the same problem again. It's not there. It doesn't see the USB. And I'm like, okay, well, I know there's this weird issue with some BIOSes where you need to tell it explicitly that it's allowed to use USB, because sometimes even if you tell it in the boot setup, it's a security setting. Yeah. So I go in and check the security setting, but because I used it before and I did this months ago, it was already in the right setting, so it was fine. So it's definitely the USB that's wrong. And so I go in to do it again. I boot back into SteamOS. I download a third version of an installer, and I get a different type of Windows. I was trying Windows 10, but I'm like, you know what, fine, I'll just go do Windows 7. It's my preferred one anyway. I just kind of want to try the latest Windows 10. And so I go through the whole thing again. I install the dependencies of the software installer. I install that itself. I sudo run it. I install it onto the USB, this new Windows 7, not Windows 10. I restart it. I know the BIOS is fine, but I load it from the boot menu straight away just to see if it's there. And it's not freaking there! It's not there! I don't know why. I don't know. I've done everything I can. I don't know. I just can't do it from here. So the only thing that I think is the common thing is this USB, which doesn't make sense because this is how I installed SteamOS. It worked before, It should work now. Oh, and I forgot I missed out one step. I also did format it back into FAT32 format to make sure it was correct.
Compatible.
Still failed. So I've done everything that I can. I can only imagine that SteamOS is failing me in its installation. Maybe there's some kind of dependency I missed or something.
It sounds
Who
so
knows?
painful, sir.
It was ridiculous. And so I do not recommend SteamOS at the moment. It is not my friend. And that is what I've been up to with all that stuff and all that gumph. All right. So other than that, I apologize to those non-technical in the audience. This week I went out and did something a little bit unusual. I socialized. I went outside the house. I know, it's crazy. Although over the past 2 weeks, I should also mention, I have left my house less than 5 times in the past 2 weeks.
Oh, jeez. What?
Yeah. I've always had the option to work from home. I never really used to use it, but I've kind of been forced into the situation for 2 reasons. One is that I don't have much time to travel anyway, and traveling takes time. But when I have, I've got a car, so that's only 10-15 minutes travel to get to work anyway. So, I can spare half an hour a day. But I can't at the moment because turns out when I bought this car a year and a bit ago, the person I purchased it from didn't send off the appropriate form to the DVLA, which stands for the Driving and Vehicle Licensing Agency in the UK.
Okay.
Meaning, technically speaking, this car isn't mine.
What?
Because he didn't tell them they changed ownership. So even though I paid him the money, and I received the car and the keys, and I've been driving it for a year, technically it's not my car. Even though I insured it, etc., by the way. It's all been insured.
So you guys, do you have... Because here in the States, the way we do it is we have a bill of sale / we have a title. So every car comes with paperwork that talks about its VIN and says this is the official title to this car. This whoever owns this, as long as it says it matches that you have it, it's your car. And we also have the bill of sale.
We have that. It's called
everything's done.
V5C.
Okay. And all we have to do to sell them, like if I want to sell my truck, my little crap Ranger that's never going to run again in my house, and I finally put on Craigslist and try to get out of here, all I have to do is take the title, and when someone comes to buy it from me, I have to sign it that I'm giving them ownership. I take my plates off the truck, and I basically and I write up a bill of sale that we both sign, and I keep a copy each of, and then we're done. And it's everything after that's on them to go register the car themselves. I'm done as a seller.
Oh, that's interesting. So it used to kind of be like that here in the UK. It used to be the case that if you bought the car, the buyer was the one that did all the paperwork stuff.
Yeah.
But that's no longer the case. It changed 2 years ago, and now the seller does all the stuff.
Why?
But this seller didn't do the stuff.
That leaves you. Sorry, it just that leaves you in the situation you're in because you have no control of saying, "I have this." It's one thing if you're responsible and you're driving it, and therefore you need to do all the work. But if someone else is doing it, then like you said, you're stuck in this conundrum where, are you legal? Can you get in trouble?
Yes.
That makes no sense to me.
Indeed, no, that is the exact problem. So what happened was, turns out I don't own the car, and due to the fact this is my first ever car, and I was vaguely ignorant, I didn't notice, I didn't see it. I didn't realize I was supposed to receive paperwork in the mail, and I didn't, so I didn't really think much of it because I didn't receive it. So I wouldn't have noticed that I didn't receive it, right? Like you can't be aware of something that you're not told and you don't know of. Well, it's my own fault. I plead ignorance. It's no way of. I am at fault for not knowing because I should know better, right? But I didn't.
I guess, yes.
So I should know better, and I didn't receive the paperwork. Now I don't get any repercussions here, really. Practically I do, but I don't get any fines or anything.
Okay.
The original seller of the car has been fined approximately £100 though by the government, and will be fined more if he doesn't fix it very, very soon. So he's running around trying to get this fixed right now, which is good.
Okay, so at least he's aware.
The one other issue is that approximately 3 years ago in the UK, we changed another law which said that when you buy a car, every single person must pay tax for having a car, right? It's just car tax, road tax.
Yeah.
I haven't, because in my ignorance, I looked up online when I got the car, I put in the license plate and I said, "Is my car taxed?" Because I didn't realize. I thought it was transferable because it used to be up until 3 years ago. And it said yes. The government website told me that my car is taxed, and I thought, okay, I'll leave it for a year then. I just thought it was transferable because of that. I just assumed that because I checked on the government website and it told me. So I thought it was okay. Turns out the reason it told me that is because it was still taxed in his name, because it was still his car, right? So this one minor component of him forgetting to set up one form had a trail of consequences, which which happened, right? So technically speaking, that car out there that I haven't driven now for 2 weeks isn't mine. And therefore, the tax that is on it that runs out in a week is not my tax anyway. Meaning, this whole past year, every time I've been getting in the car, I've been driving on somebody else's tax in somebody else's car, which is illegal. You have to drive on your own tax.
It's this is why that whole setup is so bad.
Yeah, so it's been quite annoying more than anything. As such, I have now sent off a form to the DVLA asking for, first of all, the correct forms that I need to say the car is mine, because it turns out I didn't even get them in the first place. This guy didn't hand me the right stuff at all. He gave me a big chunk of history, so all the MOT, all the times
stuff
the
that
car's
had been done,
checked. Yeah, which is, so I just sort of assumed that was everything I needed. Again, being ignorant of this kind of thing, I now know about it. I now understand, but because now I've actually been through the bother of it now. But I didn't know the first time, so I didn't know what I was missing.
Oh, I'd be confused as heck.
Yeah, so I've now requested the correct form. He's now been fined and sent off his correct form. As of the 5th of August, they'll begin processing this. The tax on the car right now runs out on August 1st. However, I can't use the tax on it anyway because it's not my tax. And so I've not risked once getting in the car just in case I instantly get an £80 fine and the car towed away from me from wherever I happen to get stopped, right? So it's not worth me getting in the car.
Oh, God.
Now, in the past year, you might say, "Oh, wow, you've not been caught at all now. Why would you be caught now? What's changed? You're already driving around." Difference is, I've now told the government that I need this form.
Specifically
said, it's
hey.
not my car. Yeah. So now that they've been informed, I'm not going to risk it. Because I didn't realize I was breaking the law. Now I know better, and now I'm not going to do it because I don't want to break the law. Obviously, I don't want to get fined. Don't want to lose my car. Don't want to break the law. Right?
Fair.
So I can't drive. So for the past 2 weeks, I've not been able to drive. I've been completely stuck in my house. I can get to uni, and I have done twice in the past 2 weeks by walking or getting the bus, and it takes forever. It takes like an hour either which way.
Ugh.
That sucks. But needs must. I'll go in when I need to. But the point being, I haven't really felt the need to go because I just haven't had to. Right? Like if it takes 2 hours to travel and you've got a lot of, you need to spend your time wisely as it is. That's an unnecessary 2 hours to spend when you could just work from home. So that's what I've been doing. I'm working from home a lot, and I've had those car issues. However, one of the things I actually did this week, like I was actually originally trying to say, was I actually went out to a nearby town of Falkirk with young Graham. We went and played some snooker.
Okay.
Is that actually a sport in the US at all? Do you guys play snooker? I've never really heard of it in the US context.
I recognize the name snooker, but for me, it's not ringing a bell other than I'm thinking a type of billiards.
It's closer to pool, I would say.
Yeah.
I know you guys have. I know you have pool.
Yeah, so we do. I tend to just play regular pool.
Okay, so yeah, think of pool, but on a table like triple the size. It's really big, and it's a lot because of that. It's a lot more difficult, as you can imagine, because you're trying to pocket a ball like meters away instead of just about 1 meter away. So yeah, I went and played that. I actually won, which was surprising because Graham is better at me at snooker and pool. So, but it was mainly due to the fact that he kept fouling.
Oh no!
And unlike pool, which is you have in the US it's striped balls and colored balls, right? That's how you guys do it.
Solid or stripes. Yep.
Yeah, ours is a little bit different, but we have yellow and red. But regardless, it's the same thing. And what you have to pocket all of your balls before you can do the other stuff, right?
Yes.
It's kind of the same with snooker, except it's a point-based system. And if you can pot one of the special colored balls, so long as you pot one of the other balls first. So, for example, anybody can pot a red at any point. Red is like the main ball. And once you've potted a red, you can then pot one of the colored balls. And each colored ball is worth a certain number of points. But if all the reds have not been pocketed, the colored ball must go back to the original starting place. So you take out the pocket and put it back, so they can be used again and again and again until the very end of the game when you pocket them all sequentially in an order. So usually games end when you can get up to something like 120, 130 points. But if you're terrible like we were, you get up to the 30 or 40 because you don't pocket the colors very often. So that's generally how it works. But yeah, it's good fun. It's a good game. It is quite challenging, much more so than pool is. Although I do really enjoy pool as well. Next time you're in the UK, we'll have to have a game sometime so you can experience the difficulty that is snooker.
Happy to do so.
Also, very interestingly, when I was in the snooker club, I didn't really notice it because the last time I was there, I was with 12, but 12 years old or so. But I think it's one of the last bastions of like entirely male-dominated sports. Because in that snooker hall, which is a very, very dark room, the only thing you can really see is the snooker tables with the lights above it. Everything else is very dark.
Yeah. And
it's like a bar as well, so everybody's sort of drinking and playing games, that sort of thing. But unlike sort of pool halls where it's sort of lively, almost nobody speaks. It's a very quiet thing, snooker halls. It's a very old man seen as like a serious thing. Yeah, it's kind of seen that way, right? But that is kind of the attitude people have towards it. But it's also very much seen as an old man's game now. And the gender difference in there was crazy. The only female there was serving at the bar, and there was about 20 to 30 guys there, all playing different games, different tables, but not a single female otherwise.
Oh, wow.
Which is really interesting. I haven't actually seen that in a long time. And I guess it's just, I don't know if it just doesn't appeal or what, but I know back in the day there was a lot of discrimination towards, like, women weren't allowed to join snooker halls, like, traditionally, like, decades ago.
Interesting.
Now I don't think that's the case, but I think there's still like I think they would still feel uncomfortable going into such a male-dominated environment. Plus, it's the age difference. We were definitely the youngest there. Most people are at least in their 30s, but in general they're in their 50s or 60s when they were at least in that pool hall. So that was interesting. Oh, sorry, snooker hall. So that was interesting, good fun. The last thing I wanted to mention for it's not really, I suppose it's kind of geeky. I was on Twitter last week, and I noticed that Total Biscuit was retweeting a bunch of people who were putting up pictures of the dogs, and I just sort of thought, why not? And I sent him a picture of Brutus, our new puppy, and he retweeted it, which was cool. And I got a good 110 likes or something ridiculous on Twitter. So my dog Brutus is now vaguely famous on Twitter. Pseudo famous. Yeah. So that was nice. But yeah, that's been my past 2 weeks really in non-geek. I want to give one more shout out though towards the fact that we have the art contest due in 2 weeks' time. I thought this longer couple months to do it would make me go out and do some photography, but I still haven't. It's bad.
Admittedly, it's a challenge for me with this one because I was looking at the subjects and everything, and I'm kind of like, I mean, okay, I should be able to get a sunset, sunrise type thing, no problem, right? That should be easy. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, the others, I was kind of just looking like, I don't know what I want to do for this. And so I've struggled with that a little bit. But
yeah, I tried to diversify them a little bit. I mean, the themes are sunset, which is, fairly open. I think anybody can really sort of submit to that. Farm, which you've managed to submit to, I believe. I think that's what you did in yours.
I did do one for farm.
We have breakfast, which again anybody can really do. Code, which is kind of a bit more particular. Ramadan, which is
I got
very unusual. And we have the quote: "Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at the close of day. Rage against the dying of the light." From a poem by Dylan Thomas, and it's a great quote, and it's used often in popular films at the moment because it is just a good quote. But the end date is August 6th, so there are 14 days left as of today. Please do go take part. Anything is welcome, as long as it's not like extreme pornography or anything like racist. Pretty much that's pretty much it. Like, just don't go crazy and you'll be fine. And you could win shout-outs by us here on the show, and also your images or poetry or whatever else will be posted onto our Facebook and Twitter feeds, which have a good few hundred. In fact, I think the Facebook has 700 likes, so at least 700 or so people will see it. And if any of them like it, all of their friends will also see that, right? So I'll appear on their feeds. So there's a nice little bit of impact you'll get there. So please do a little bit of reach, as Facebook call it. So please do go take part. It's good fun, and it forces you to go do whatever that arty thing you enjoy doing is. All right, sir. What have you been up to in the past couple weeks?
Oh, geez. Let's see. So, the challenges of me actually. Have I done anything geeky? Ish, or non-geeky. I mean. So the problem is most things have been. The real ungeeky things have mostly just been the nonsense of owning a home, where I'm still fighting with my sprinklers and stuff like that, and the fact that my yard's trying to kill itself. We have been having a consistent heat wave here in Colorado, where it's not every day, right? But let's see. I want to look it up for. Okay, so. Our average temperature, at least me talking about it, not knowing for sure, has been essentially 32 degrees Celsius for almost all summer. It's been just continuing on.
I can never live there.
And so with that, it's been a challenge because it is. It's just like it's been hot and hot and hot. I mean, it's not unbearable being out and such because we do have a dry heat, but it's scorching the lawn. It is just constantly adding to this challenge of me trying to keep it looking green and lush and nice. And I have part of my sprinkler system that broke. Well, most of it broke. I got it patched together where I can run water through it without it just exploding, although it's tenuous. And there's at least one section of my sprinkler system that's not working at all. I don't know if it's clogged or what, but I haven't been able to get that figured out. And part of the problem is I haven't spent nearly enough time dedicated to sitting there and fixing everything in it. So I'm just struggling with a little bit of like, why? And I don't know what to do. And so I kind of play with it here and there, and I'm trying to keep it just not dead is my goal right now. Try to get it not dead, and I'm going to probably have to call somebody and actually pay for the whole system to be repaired.
Shit.
Which is going to cost far more money than I want to do. So I'm not looking forward to that. Also, on a lighter note, I got a thing in the mail. Not in the mail. It was on my door, and eventually I went out my door and kind of saw this thing sitting on the ground, one of the little door hangers you have. And I was just thinking, great, another advertisement for someone to mow my lawn or to, do something, right, for my house or sell me insurance or something like that. Yay, I hate these things. Well, I go and I finally picked it up because sometimes I saw it sitting like it had fallen off my door on the side. I just left it there, as possible. Like I just don't want to deal with that. Finally, after a couple days, I went and picked it up and I was going to throw it away. And I looked and I saw that it was actually from my electricity company for utilities. And I was like, okay, what are they doing? Well, then I read it, and it finally said, oh, hey, by the way, we finished installing the meter that we needed to do on your house. You can now turn on your solar system. And so I was like, oh, hey, I was waiting for that, but I wasn't expecting it for like another 3 weeks or so. And so I went out to the back of my house, and sure enough, up on the thing, they had finished installing everything, and I went and flipped the switches. And so my house is now, and ShowX is currently, being provided to you via mostly solar power.
By the sun. Thank you to the sun.
Although I have to check it, because admittedly, the system they installed is supposed to be providing me with mass amounts of like solar power. But at the same time, I know that I use a lot of electricity in this house. And so I have a feeling that, I knew this going in, that I highly doubted I would be able to power the entire house with it, essentially. And so I'm kind of like, yeah, something tells me it's going to provide some power, but I'm hoping it will do more. But let's see. Oh, I finally got the update on the website where I can check it out. And as of today, let's see, it started producing power at 6 in the morning. A whole 1/10 of a kilowatt of power. And it's been slowly going up, and as of 11 a.m., which is my highest, it had produced 5.5 kilowatts of electricity. Or I guess it's doing it that hour. And I'm currently, because we just started this hour halfway through, and I'm on pace to about match the last. And so, it only has, I guess today is the first official day that it's reporting how much energy it's producing. And so we'll see. And I have to look because I forget what my daily usage is. But I'm currently today up to about 16 kilowatt hours of electricity produced by the solar. So hopefully that will do enough to reduce the rest of my power bill and even it out. Because unfortunately, I think when I did the math, it's going to end up costing me a little bit of money more than my normal bill was to be on solar. So yay me paying to help the world, I guess. We'll see. But
surprising.
Well, it's just, again, I have lots of computers running in this house. I have a roommate who runs on computers all the time as well, and so we just have a lot of things running. I also need to do some things to try to work on efficiencies in the house, so maybe this will be a way for me to also kind of improve, make sure I get more LED lights and get rid of any of the old ones and, little things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to blow out my AC unit stuff so make sure the air actually goes through the whole house and not outside. I, this morning, noticed it was warmer upstairs than it should have been, and so I went walking around and noticed that my cousin, when he went to work, did not close his window because he keeps it open at night to let cool air in, but it was gotten warm, and so I had to go close his window.
That's a crazy thought that leaving the window open makes it warmer. That's so alien to me.
Yeah, no, here it definitely had, because as soon as the sun comes up and it rises on that side of the house, it starts getting the sun right away, and so it definitely was warming up the house. So I needed to go close that. So there's just all these little things I'm now monitoring and watching, and hopefully we'll see how it goes forward, being a new owner of a solar system, and I'm really hoping in the long run it saves me money, but we shall see. That's still a ways to go. But yeah, so that's new. What else has been going on? And I'm also now having to work on my house in general inside as well, because over the last many weeks of being busy constantly, I basically have neglected the house. And so I've been trying to do chores, essentially, as best you could say it. You can kind of see behind me even, I'm trying to clean up some of the stuff here to make room. I'm starting to slowly prep for the next Game Fest that's coming, as well as I'm still crafting and doing things down here, so I'm like managing a dozen different activities. But in doing so, I've kind of cleared some stuff off. I did some crafting just recently that I will talk about in Greek Cred. But I have family that's going to be coming in this week, and so I have to like clean the actual upstairs of the house. Part of the problem is I still have things from multiple conventions that I kind of just let linger. In fact, I still have some things sitting around from Japan. That, not many, but just some stuff where I don't know where I want to put them yet. And so they're just kind of sitting in my front room. And so I looked around again like, yeah, I need to do that like soon. I have my sister and brother-in-law coming in on Tuesday. And then They're not going to be staying here the whole week, but they're going to be staying here for a minute. And then he is coming in for a race that he's doing up in the mountains. I don't know exactly which one it is, but he's been doing these hyper milers, marathons. And so he keeps having a goal of running 100 miles in a single session. 160 kilometers in a single session. And so he's dumb, or just a glut for punishment.
I was going to say crazy, I think is the correct word.
And the furthest I know he has run in a race has been, 77 miles, I think. And it took him like 18 or 20 hours to run it before his body kind of shut down. But anyhow, he's going to come to make it even worse for himself and run some crazy thing up in the mountains, which is not going to be any easier. So that'll be fun to hear about. But in doing so, he's also coming, my sister as well. I think they're leaving my nieces with my parents out in Nebraska as they come out. And then on Thursday, my older brother and his family are flying out to come here. And we're going to meet up with all of them. They're going to hang out for maybe a day here or so. And then I think everyone is driving back out to Nebraska for a family reunion, which I totally was not tracking, as I have about 8 things going on this weekend. And I'm trying to decide if I can include driving to Nebraska for a day to do a family reunion and then drive back to do the show and other things on Sunday.
Feels like you just had one. Did you not just have a family reunion?
Not a family reunion. In fact, the last time... What did I do the last time with family? Not a reunion. I know I saw some of my family a little while back. But no, we didn't have a reunion. It's been a while since we've done one of those. We had, I think, my whole family together... What was it? Well, my immediate family. So not a reunion, but we had my immediate family together a little while back. But no, this is more like cousins and uncles and aunts and like everyone that's under my grandparents' level for a family reunion. So a much bigger kind of get together. Yeah, my biggest thing last was Christmas and stuff like that, where it was all family together, and funerals and things like that. So those things. But no, but yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how to fit that in, as well as Hydroxycut just sitting there. I see that he and the wife want me to go to the Dragon Boat Festival on Saturday as well as I know a friend in town is having an open house on Saturday, as well as what else is going on this Saturday. Like I said, honestly, like a dozen things, and I'm looking at them all saying, well, crud. And I haven't, I think, officially committed to any of them, so in a way I'm okay. I just have to pick the one that I'm actually going to do, or 5 things. I don't know yet. We'll see. So there's all that going on. That is kind of the side chaos that is not me just doing non-geeky things. It's more just like, oh, this is my life. Anyhow, so that's pretty much all I have that hasn't been geeky this week. Most things I've been doing have been more geek-related, so I think it is appropriate. I'm going to transition over and say, let's talk about a few things geek.
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek cred, level up!
So on the other side of things, let's see, I think I can go ahead and start in the geek cred this time. I'll switch things
Please
up.
do.
So, I actually have played some games. Crazy! I have gotten a chance to play video games a little bit, sort of, to a moment. Ooh, I can throw another one in there. So, the first one I was going to throw in there is that my ex-roommate, Fork, since she's moved back up north and doing stuff up there, has still left a couple things in the house. And one of the things she left is her Wii-U. It's sitting there, connected to TV and everything, but just like, oh, and so I think I powered it up a while back just for S&Gs to see what it's about, since I really have not played it and haven't played anything Nintendo for ages. But I went to power it up just a couple weeks ago and looked and was like, well, why won't this start? It's not charging. I went to look at the charger for the, the tablet kind of controller it has, and in doing so noticed that the cable for it was cut in like 2 places. And so I don't know how this happened. I want to say it could have been a vacuum cleaner accident, but I don't believe
likely,
so.
Yeah.
I actually want to say it was probably her cat, because her cat loved to chew on electronics and stuff like that. But those are like my 2 primary things that I think could have happened, but I don't know which it was. And so I looked, I was like, well, that sucks. And in a way I felt bad because I don't know if it was something I did or someone else in the house, but I was just like, oh, your Wii-U shouldn't have like a broken cable and it can't work. So I went on Amazon and found a replacement one and got it in and plugged it all up a week ago or so. And then doing so, I actually started it up. I don't know what I was doing, waiting for food to heat up or something, but I was sitting there like, yeah, let me try this. Picked it up. I had something else on the TV, so I used the whole second screen aspect of it, the actual tablet part. And I just looked at what she had installed, and I grabbed, I think it's whatever Super Mario game is on it, where it's kind of an overworld thing, but it's basically a traditional side-scroll. Was it side-scroll or 3D? No, I think it's a 3D Mario. Yeah, it's a 3D Mario, and I know you have cat suits, and that's about all I know about it. I don't even know what the name of it is. But I played that for a minute and was kind of like, oh yeah, Mario, I like these games. And then put it away. Anyhow, so played a little Super Mario on the Wii U. But also I had some time where I snuck in a few games of Overwatch, where I was sitting there ready to do important things that I needed to do. Some of my responsible things like my photography editing and posting shows and things like that. So yes, fans, I did get at least 2 of our last month of shows up. So now I'm only going to be 3 behind after today. So I'll keep working on those. But then I did get some photos done, at least 2 groups. One from, I got Akon done. I have Anime North is now posted on Death's House Productions on Facebook if you want to check out the stuff of Copy and I running around Anime North. And then I also got some shots. I did a portrait from a while back, finished and done and posted, like, here, take all the photos. I'm trying to clear them all out so I can maybe do an actual photo thing for me. But in doing so, in between them, when I was trying to be not responsible, I would see people jump into a game, and because I have Discord up and I'd see a few different Discords going, I see people talk about, hey, Overwatch? Overwatch anybody? Huh? It's kind of like, I guess I could. And so I jumped in, and I've actually played several games now of Overwatch here and there. I still am terrible at it. I have 3 characters I play somewhat competently. But that's been fun. A lot of times it's been Fork that I've played with in her group. And the other side is primarily my friend Widowmaker, my friend from cosplay, that she's really good. She's one of the ones that we have streaming on the Twitch channel for VTW Gaming. If you ever check and follow that, you'll see under that she's Nightmare Loki. But I'll run with her. She's a really good Overwatch player. She plays Widowmaker, go figure, and is really good at it. So I snuck some games in on that. I also managed a couple ARAMs in League of Legends, so that made me happy. But I want to say that's about the main things I've been doing. Besides that, I know I threw my VR headset on just for a second because I was looking at any other sales and stuff that are out. And I think I was just checking out the update for, what is it? It's the solar system one where it basically a tour of the galaxy. Takes you around different planets and stuff. It's a space one. It's just real pretty. It's kind of one of the baby's first VR that you can put someone sitting down on it and have them look through and see all the planets in this massive scale. It's really cool. So I just bought the updated one on sale at some point, so I checked it out. But really, that's kind of all I've been doing for gaming this week. I wish I could say more. I'm just happy that I've at least touched games. But beyond that, I think really the geeky things I've been doing, I've still consistently been 3D printing. I keep doing that constantly. I have the goal of making the 3D printer run 24/7. With that, what are some of my latest things? I printed my first X-Wing model from Star Wars, and a little smaller one. It's one that I've always been a little scared of because the guns that come off the wings are so tiny and thin that it's kind of a challenge for any printer to do.
Those look tough to print off.
And parts of it did break, and so I'm actually looking at, I know I can print this larger. So this was just my first attempt, and it's in 3 pieces, and it came out pretty good. More so, one of the big ones I've done, and this is actually a present, and I don't think the individual's watching, so it won't be an issue. But for a recent birthday, is in the theme of Overwatch again, is I printed a bust from Overwatch of Mercy, one of the main healing characters in it, and I'm going to give this as a gift so that said friend can keep on desk at work or such and kind of enjoy. Because it's someone I think mains essentially Mercy. So I've used it as an opportunity a lot of times to do just some gifting. One of the other things that I had just put in is, and I'll get into, is kind of in combination with some crafting for costumes, is La Campette. Randomly, we went to a pool on Friday so I could finally check out my pool for the first time this year. But we had a project she's been wanting to work on forever, which is a costume of one of her Terraria characters, a little side scroll, and it's an interesting concept because we're trying to take what is essentially a little 2D experience and turn it into a 3-dimensional costume. And the nice thing is she actually has been getting really good at artwork, sketched up what she wants the costume to look like and gave me a bunch of references. And so in doing that, I'm figuring out, using my engineering skills, how to make a back harness to put wings into. And basically to set it up so that she can have wings that are removable but can put out and then fold appropriately and such and look really big. And so I went through some things where I'm just from parts from a hardware store and various things trying to craft a harness that will be comfortable and she'll be able to wear with multiple wings. So I think I've got an idea going forward with that, which is interesting. But to help support her costume also, one of the things her character has is like a hair clip in the back, which is some item that stores mana or something like that. And so she drew it up, and I think I did a pretty good job of creating my own 3D model of it, where I just use Mesh Mixer, which is a free 3D app that is mostly designed for modifying pre-existing models, things that have already existed out there. It's more for editing than it is for creating. But in doing so, I was able to use its base things to create from scratch my own models. And I believe I did a pretty good job of making a hair clip. And so I also molded it in with a pre-existing hair clip. So it has little prongs. So you should be able to just slide it in. She should be able to attach it to her wig. But I made this thing, hopefully it's the right scale. She'll have to try it to see if I have to make it bigger or not. It took me a couple prints to get it right. But I'm pretty proud of myself because I've only made and created a handful of my own things in 3D. Mostly what I print is kind of anything I get off Thingiverse or the aggregate site Yegi, which kind of looks across all these different places where 3D models can be found. And I'll just grab cool models, I'll cut them out, print them, and neat, right? But I didn't do it, right? I wasn't creative. I just have the tool to make it into a physical space. So a lot of people have asked, like, well, do you ever make anything? And so far, the things I've designed myself and made have been a little coin-like medallion that was from an old kung fu show called The Master, a little butterfly kind of pendant. I made it, recreated it from that. It looked really good. I'm proud of that one. Another one I made was my biggest one was my Zelgatus sword. So my big, long, 4.5 foot sword that I made for my cosplay as Zelgatus, which failed because it was too brittle, but I printed the whole thing and I made it actually so it's a single print and you glue all the pieces together. I know how I can make better. Serathis just up. Yes. Hello, Serathis. We are live. Right? Everything's encoding and it's going out.
Hopefully.
Well, he just showed up in the IRC, so I'm hoping it just has not touched anything yet. Because so far, Hando says he's involved in hearing us, so hopefully that's the case.
We've got 2 emails so far, so I think they came in live. So I think
I think we're okay. But just him asking, show today? Admittedly, that's because last week we didn't have a show, correct? I know I've missed a few, so sorry everyone for those. We've been busy and running around, and we may, unfortunately, in schedules coming up, have another couple that may or may not make it. Because last week it was and that's the other non-geeky thing I'd done. Because last week I had done martial arts stuff a lot. I forgot to mention that because I had done martial arts on the Monday previous, then I did it again on Thursday. Martial arts, or was it Tuesday? God, I forget. Tuesday I went up there to help with a friend with his demo. And then that Saturday before the show, did martial arts. And then that Sunday did the actual event that we had where we had Master Rousseau in town teaching us, so it did all of that, and so that is what interfered with the show last week. Sorry about that. This week, more martial arts stuff, but thankfully not as much. But yeah, so with the printing, I designed the sword, and then this next thing is now this hair clip, which again I just made from scratch, and so it's an extra level of satisfaction for me. Is that I created something and printed it out, and now it physically exists. And so it kind of goes even further towards the step of what is 3D printing and, what can it be? And so that was a lot of fun. Also, along with that, some of the geeky stuff with the whole cosplay and crafting, like I said, was helping Lockhand with her crafting, mostly making the back brace and that, starting some work on her shirts and stuff to modify the shape and size of stuff. So a little bit of sewing. But also went over to our friend Zenko Akko's house, since this is now making it, 6 weeks in a row that we've all run into each other, as we're trying to make this a continuous trend. But went to Zenko Akko's place, and Akko is the one that has the mini 3D printer, and I've been schooling and teaching him how to get into 3D printing, which is nice because he's basically foregone a lot of the pitfalls that initially happen. Oh, that's funny. In fact, they just now are arriving here. So Zenko Akko is walking in my front door right now. So they're upstairs. You might see them pop in the background. I had a standing offer as I left the house that they could come during the show and hang out, and we're going to finish doing costuming stuff this afternoon.
That's neat. I'm glad you guys are hanging out and stuff. That's cool to have friends like that.
Well, it's also a calculated thing because I need not just friends but support as I get into my costuming. But Akko, and hopefully they will come down, he has jumped into the 3D printing thing. And again, he's just got this little micro Tio or something, is this really small one. But it works fairly well. And it doesn't have a heated bed, so it's got some difficulties in quality prints. But it does do a good job. It's still a 3D printer. He's making all kinds of things. The challenge he's running into is he's trying to do bigger and bigger prints. He's starting to get aggressive. He has to cut them into a lot more pieces than I do. And without the heated bed, anything that's flat... is anything that's flat. Oh, whoa. Don't do that, Sam. You were being so good. I'm going to really... Sam's doing its normal thing. It decided to freak out on us.
He hates us.
I know. And I keep thinking of ways to solve this.
Kill him?
Yes, yeah, kill him as a whole. And so I continue to want to figure it out. And so I haven't officially called it dead yet. Here they come in now. Yay. And yes, you guys absolutely beat Hyde here. So I don't know if Hyde was going directly to drop off or what, but we'll see. But anyhow, with Akko's prints, he's gotten to a point now where he's, like I said, done some much bigger items, some ships and things like that. And where he's going nuts is he's really focused on doing 40K. So Warhammer 40K, the miniatures game, he is looking at every possible way to implement 3D printing with essentially with his 40K miniatures game. And so far he's been successful, and he did his big thing he wanted to do, which he oh, you piece of junk.
Just pause the music. Just turn it off.
I'll pause the music. Well, the problem is this, for the encoding for everyone else, is still going to possibly like gaga on stuff. So hopefully our voices will still come through. The nice thing is the YouTube feed's great. Everybody, transition to YouTube. Listen to us and watch our beautiful faces. Because that maintains us being pretty. But with it, he was able to print out with his, it was not a Lehman Russ tank, I forget what size tanks he's running for his Imp Guard and his Space Marines, but he was able to print out a turret, a replacement turret for his printer, or for his tanks, that was modeled off of an old World War II tank. And so a real actual British tank or something like that, because they didn't make that kind of gun for the game in 40K, and he just measured it out and got the thing and modified it. And when I went over there, he had just finished printing essentially that first turret, put it all together, and it was amazing. Like, it fit in there just perfect and turns everything. And so there's just this level of excitement of like, aha, look at you, modifying, creating. He also went a step further and did a blend test where he has a bunch of things where he's building a Zerg army, essentially, so Tyranids. And in doing so, he grabbed a base model of the Tyranid that... and he basically printed out like a chess piece and some of the main arms, and then also grabbed some of the set of Tyranid he has and put them all together as one thing. And so he was able to use both actual parts from Games Workshop as well as some of his printed pieces to combine them into a real one kind of thing.
That's
and
cool.
So he's shown success in doing that, which is really neat, because now he's got all these ideas. And when I left yesterday kind of while we were hanging out, he started using Mesh Mixer to design and create his own from scratch Tyranid pieces. So he's trying to make like not a Carniflex, but one of the bigger Titan type Tyranids, and create his own pieces to it, and basically almost make his own Tyranid. That'll be impressive to see. And he's more creative and artistic than I think he lends himself to know. Because the arm he started making, I looked like a legit monster arm after about 10 minutes of him just playing.
Doing any of that kind of stuff is pretty creative anyway. I mean, learning how to do all that and actually, add your own flair to it is in itself creative, right? So why wouldn't he see himself as that way, Well,
because his normal profession is not, I think he just presents himself as, I'm the logical this and this guy. And I look as like, you are creative as all get out. You need to stop. But yeah, so the stuff he is doing with the 3D prints has been really cool. And it's neat because in a way I feel like I've passed on knowledge. And he has kind of told me, he said, dude, you have saved me so much time and effort. Because a lot of the things that unfortunately you tend to learn the hard way through actually doing it the first time, he's been able to skip forward with, because I gave him some tools and things, some like my leftover stuff from my R1. And I just I talked him through like here's what this happened to do this, here's ways to fix this, here's things to adjust this, here's a bunch of sites, and he's just jumped into it. And so he's doing the right thing also, where the printer is constantly printing, as mine is right now as well, because it's got to be constantly. Absolutely. So that's been a lot of fun. It's great for me to finally have someone I can talk to on a regular basis about 3D printing, because it used to be I was the guy, and then I knew a couple other friends who got them, but they're elsewhere. And I only ever talked to him like at convention or something a little bit, like, oh yeah, oh you did do that, oh that's awesome, and kind of seeing some of the projects. But day to day, I haven't had anyone to talk about it with, so this is exciting for me. So yeah, love that. Now the challenge is, one of the negative things I have that I'm still working on is my printer has an issue where all the prints I put out, and if you look closely at it, you'll see there's kind of a ripple look to it. And essentially what it's doing, and there's some discussion, because I finally found a page on the forums where they talked about the new printer, now enough people have them, about some issues with not the build quality, but I think the shipping of them, because they're all produced in China and brought over. And in it, I believe, at least my issue, but it's one that a lot of people, some of the bars that are through the printer to hold it all, that the rails that the print heads move across, sometimes get a little warped or bent in packaging and travel. And in doing so, they will look true until you move the print head across it fast, and then you can watch it kind of warp. With mine, I think the issue is not my bars. I think they're all straight. I think it's the main screw that lifts and lowers the bed. And in that, I think what it's doing is it's got a slight warp to it. So as it raises and lowers, it kind of slightly moves it back and forth, which causes this kind of ripple effect in my prints that cause them to... it still works and it's still true, but it's not a smooth, even transition. You can actually feel a texture on the edge of it where it slightly goes back and forth. I think that's what's doing it. So I need to get in touch with Robo3D. From everyone I've talked to on the forums, it sounds like they are very responsive and are willing to work with people to help them get their issues fixed. And they were that way with my R1, so I'd like to say that's more consistency and not something new. And so I just haven't yet talked to them about trying to fix this issue. So we'll see. I'm hoping all they have to do is send me a new screw, vertical screw, and that I can replace it easily enough myself. But we'll see. So that's a little bit of an issue because I feel somewhat bad that I can't get better quality as a whole. And yes, Earth, I can, because you've asked, I could probably, after this print is done, queue up a 3D Teemo figure that I could print out for you. That I could do.
Why Teemo, of all things?
That's his main. It has always been his main. It's funny because Teemo's not as loved ever, and before he was truly hated.
I actually like Teemo.
I love Teemo.
I love Teemo. I just like to hate on him.
Well, I liked it because, and this is stories I always tell, back in old days of League of Legends, Earth was so damn good at Teemo because he had, the way we'd only measure our time in game was always by wins, because we figured you're about a 50% win-loss on the average person, and how long the average game lasts, we said 30 minutes, so we figured for every win you probably had a loss, so for every game of a win it's probably an hour of gameplay you've had in the game. And just on Teemo, at the time we stopped measuring, I think, on regular Summoner's Rift games, because this is before ARAMs, Earth had somewhere in the range of 650 games with Teemo of wins, which translated to somewhere 1,200 hours of gameplay total in game, but at least 600 something hours on Teemo that I think he had when we were measuring, because that was his main. And so, needless to say, he wrecked people as Teemo. The damage output he would have, and back when they went through the various levels of nerfing or trying to manage how many mushrooms he could have, on Summoner's Rift, every tree, every bush had a mushroom in it on the entire map, both sides.
Nice.
The way Earth played it, it was so
That's
fun to watch.
That's how you do a good Teemo.
God, it got to the point where he would have the river completely done. He was our wards, right? Because he had mushrooms all around Baron,
of course, you don't even need wards anymore, yeah.
It was just Teemo everywhere. And now it's basically looked at as well, you can't actually Teemo in real games. I'm like, Earth could. Pretty sure Earth could. Anyhow. But yeah, so that's most of what I did. Like I said, so for my cosplay issues, and this is also partly where I went to Zenko Akko's house yesterday, is because Zenko, in the back here, hiding, helped me out by cutting and helping pick pieces of my patterns that I'm actually going to try to use to make a costume, read patterns and do it like a real person, instead of my normal just throw it on my mannequin and just kind of cut things. I'm actually going to try to do it right. And so she was helping me get some of that together, and we'll see. I need to try to put it to fabric maybe today. So I've got a lot where I'm starting. I'm starting to freak out a bit because while I have one costume to do, I have less than 5 weeks to get it done. And that sounds like a long time, but I have activities constantly happening. If I had 5 weeks where that was my job, not a problem. But I don't. I have 5 weeks of and everything else in life. And so in that I am so scared. I am very intimidated by this costume, but we'll see. I will get it done, I am sure. I am very intimidated. And I still have to order some, maybe I'll do that today. I have to order some silk stockings. I have to order some shoes, the little bits to go around the rest of the costume, and then everything else I have to make. So that's freaking me out some. All right. Well, that's pretty much what I've been doing for my geek. I think what I will try to do here, because it's basically time for us to take a break, is I will see if I can queue up and get the music working long enough for a break and have it play. In fact, I'm going to try, because we haven't done it for a little while. I'd love to throw in some Leo, because Leo's amazing. And it's an easy go-to, admittedly. Let me throw in what would be a good one. How about... Oh, that's just fun. So, yes. Although this may be a long one. I'm going to try to put it in and see if Sam will stay happy long enough for us to get actual break music in here. That's the goal. So I'm going to cue this in and... Come on. Please. Maybe. Oh, you piece of junk, Sam. It basically doesn't want me to... It doesn't want me to drag and drop it in. This is... that's why I thought that I need to... I need to actually reinstall Sam, because it's not letting me do that. I'm hoping
That's
that
really odd.
Well, and that's what I think. I think it's more of an interface UI issue that it gets hung up than most other things. And so I need to set time aside and say I'm doing it. And I just need to reinstall SAM, and I think it'll be okay. But we shall see. So, all right. Got it now put in the hard way. And with that, you're listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com. I'm going to try to start this music back up. And I'm going to kick it to a break, and we'll be back right after this, everyone. And then we'll start with your emails and Ken's Geek Cred. So, catch you guys right after this.
Send in your emails to showx at vtwproductions.com.
At workforces, you're the same that burn crosses. Some of those at workforces, you're the same that burn crosses. Some of those at workforces, you're the same that burn crosses. Some of those at workforces, you're the same that burn crosses. Killing in the name of now you do what they told ya. And now you do what they told ya. Now you do what they told ya. And 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 now you do what they told ya. Now you do what they told ya. Don't you die and justified. Wearing a badge, they convert your white. Don't let die and justified. Wearing a badge, they convert your white. Don't let die and justified. Wearing a badge, they convert your white. Don't let die and justified. Wearing a badge, they convert your white. Some of those that work forces, you're the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces, you're the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces, you're the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces, you're the same that burn crosses. Killing in the name of, killing in the name of. Now you do what they told ya. Now you do what they told ya. And now you do what they told ya. And now you do what they told ya. And now you do what they told ya. Get under control. And now you do what they told ya. Get under control. And now you do what they told ya. Get under control. And now you do what they told ya. Get under control. And now you do what they told ya. Get under control. And now you do what they told ya. Get under control. And now you do what they told ya. Get under control. Do what they told ya. Don't you die, justified. Wearing a badge, they convert your white. Don't let die, justified. Wearing a badge, they convert your white. Don't let die, justified. Wearing a badge, they convert your white. Don't let die, justified. Wearing a badge, they convert your white. Come on. won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Motherfucker.
You're listening to Show X on btwproductions.com.
Hey, look at it, starting to behave again. And coming back is, like I said, Zenko Aqua up there. One of the other things I had just printed as I went to their house last night, and I was like, well, I need my printer to be doing something. I didn't have anything cut yet that I wanted to do. So I used one of their base default ones, which was for a birdhouse. And so it's this little thing, has a little like place to hook, a little hole inside for a bird. They had a little, looks like a hole in the bottom that I guess it could drain out something. It actually came out surprisingly smooth. It makes me wonder because this one didn't ripple nearly as bad. Anyhow, so fun little things. But, all right, we are going to go to emails. Ken, I don't know if you have yours up or not, but I've got a first one in here from our friend Hydroxycut. And so I'm going to start off with one that says, First friends, I would like to shout out Doc Dead, a great friend and amazing host. Wait, what? Hearing his voice on Sunday is always a feeling that life has slowed down enough to enjoy the day with fellow geeks. I want to highlight my geek cred in a couple layers. Easy start. For those of us who play WoW still, my guild, Horizon, is 7 of 9 heroic in Tomb of Sargeras. We are moving along very well, and I have been parsing real well on my Demonology Warlock, arguably one of the more complicated classes to play effectively. Next, as one of the few who owns a Nintendo Switch and enjoys it for what it is, I don't know what it is. Saturday, I updated the DLC for Zelda Breath of the Wilds that we had when we bought the game. Immediately, I just jumped into it, and without much in the way of clues, I started crushing the DLC. I got lost in the game, and Eleanor Moon had to remind me I had events later in the day. So got lost in the game, as in not lost, but lost playing it with time.
Yeah.
Finally, and quite possibly the most fun of the week, and I saw your post on this, Hydro, and I'm jealous, and I wanted to punch you, just so you know. Because I was like, you didn't invite me. Anyhow. Finally, and quite possibly the most fun of the week, Saturday night, me and Eleanor Moon went on a double date with some friends, Brooke and John. We went to Texas de Brazil, first time for Eleanor and I, which means all of the meats, for dinner, which was tasty. After
I know what kind of place this is. Yep. It's
love
very
those.
tasty.
Love those. After which, we went to an escape room. None of us had ever done it before, and
nice.
we were all excited. I have still yet to do an escape room. We
Yeah,
chose
me too.
it seems like such the right thing to do. I've heard because my cousin did it with a friend of mine, and they said it was the closest thing to a real-life video game, in that it's like a puzzle game in real life. And I was just like, all right. They said, we chose a pirate-themed room, so everything had a pirate theme and feel. It was immediately apparent that most of the people in the room were gamers, because analytic thinking was thinkers were abound. The room lasted an hour, and I'm proud to say that we completed it with about 6 minutes to spare. Some of the riddles, which were very in-depth, and I hope to do another one in the future. All in all, I think it was a nice geek spread with good friends. Much love from McGill Manor, that from Hydro and Eleanor's home. So thank you very much for that, Hydroxygut. And yes, I'm jealous. I saw your pictures. Looks like you guys had a ton of fun. So that's very cool and very good geek. All right, Ken, would you like to jump on our other one? Oh, jeez.
Sure
Ha! Ha! So happy I gave you this one.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to be careful here.
No, just read. This will be great.
Do you want to read? Okay, should we give a profanity warning beforehand?
No, do the real-time editing that we do so well.
Okay. Hey X-Men, this is from Hando. It's summer vacation, which means I'm not taking work. Not that there is much anyway. So I'm trying to expand my skill set in things like soldering. Very cool. It's a great skill to pick up, sir.
God, I wish I could solder and not break things.
Yeah, I picked up a solder training kit and made the discovery that when you are soldering a single broken connection on, say, your electric guitar or some such device, you bang it out. You don't always care how it looks so long as it works.
Fair.
When you're soldering on a full small radio kit and are trying to do it like you give a darn, it's mother effing rod sucking son of a female dog, mother
loving,
god darn it, feck. It's really hard, sad face.
Well, now granted, re-edit that all in all of yours mind, as that is full caps yelling.
Yes. Not to mention the chip that I have to solder in that has the connection so close there is no way to do it without making a short. The kit is sitting on my shelf thinking about what its existence means. You made your soldering kit have an existential crisis. I watched Patriots Day with Mark Wahlberg. Who's Mark Wahlberg?
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Okay, I'm going to pretend I know what you mean.
Mark Wahlberg's also, he's been the lead in the last couple Transformers movies. He's got that thick
He's an actor.
Boston accent. Oh, yeah. Thick Boston accent. What are some of his other big roles he's done? He was in Ted. He was the main guy in Ted. Those movies.
Oh, I recognize him, yep.
Yeah, I was trying to think of one you might have seen, and so... But yes,
I didn't like it.
Wait, our thing just died. I don't hear you. I'm going to do... Yeah, no, it just all of a sudden the mic went and stopped. So I'm going to off and on our call. I'm thinking it just might have hiccuped up. You still look great and wonderful, sir, but let's try to do it and see if it reinitiates if I call you back real quick. Yeah, talk to me. I don't hear anything from you yet, sir. Do you hear anything from me? And it looks like it's... Oh, wait. Are you there? We see Ken, but there's confusion, and I don't know if he can hear us or not. Weird. So the rest of the show will be done on Ken's end with sign language. One word. Movie. No. Ken looks very confused. Nope. Do not hear you, sir. Nope. Let's see. Going to double check on the audio settings. It says I'm not receiving anything. Ah, technology and how it hurts us. And I don't believe this is on my end for a change, oddly enough. So anyhow, I will continue. So with that, let's see. Let me finish up the email. Let's see. And so it comes in again. This is from Hando, and I think the Skype is doing weird things because now it's just spinning on our end, and Ken looks dead. And so let's try that again. Hey, Ken. I still don't hear you. What the hell? I don't know, sir. I don't know what's going on with that. Well, poop. And especially because on this end, that was me with my computer completely crashing. So now I'm even more confused. But we shall see. So hopefully people will see us as we come back here and get back logged into things. Yeah, that was unfortunate. So, but we have the audio going out there and there again, so at least the stream should be going. And hopefully everyone can still hear us. So, yep, we'll see what happens here. But hopefully you guys can hear me. I know, like I said, Can you hear the show? Let's see. So Ken's stuff is showing. I don't see anything on my end. That should not there. Hopefully everyone hears that. That's me doing a test signal out to the world. But you can hear... Let's see. You can hear me all right. Let's see. So that should be there. That should be there. So trying to get a quick, like, just back us into things. And yes, I'm going to try to fiddle with our audio cables because this makes no sense as to what's going on with this. Let's see. Grr to real-time editing. And I don't know what died, what changed. Let's see. All my other audio cables. Hello, hello, hello. Let's see. That one. Okay, so that's going out to line 2. Yeah. That's going into line 2, but I don't see it bouncing. Hello? Let's see. That's line 5 in. So that should be there. Okay, that's going to line 5, so that should be working. Line 4, line 3. Yeah. I see all the lines, but I don't see anything coming from Ken. Let me switch your incoming audio cable just so I can hear you myself. So we will go to... Yes. All right. Talk to me. So the challenge is I still don't see anything bouncing. So even if it's coming in, it's not coming to me. But you're seeing your output bounce, correct? So this seems like it's a Skype issue, everyone, which sucks. Why, oh why, Skype? I'm trying to think what else I can try on this. We have too much show left for this to end, for this to be a problem. Okay, I'm going to try to completely kill Skype. And try to... I'm going to try one more time, Ken, while I hang up. I'm going to try to kill Skype completely to then allow us to communicate back, or try it again. So, quit. Bye, Ken. Maybe. Alright, so that's dead. And now I'm going to try to bring Skype back to me. Make sure I do the right one, because Windows is a dumb thing and likes to have multiple Skypes, which makes no sense. There, it's back up. Oh, it says it's updating, so maybe that's part of the issue. It says it won't take long, but it says Skype is updating. Yeah, this is not a Sam issue. This is a Skype issue. So we'll see. And it's so close. We're so close to finishing your email.
Testing.
There I can hear you, sir. Now I'm wondering, that actually I think was a Skype issue. Because all of a sudden...
Really? 'Cause I haven't changed anything though.
No. When I restarted Skype, it said it was updating.
Oh, for God's sake, Skype.
Right? Like
That's
right in the middle of
disgusting.
while you're using it, to have it just die. And...
What?
No, it makes no sense. I don't know. Did an update just get pushed into... Anyhow, so we're back, everybody, with that nonsense. So anyhow, as we continue, let's see. So finishing up Hando's email, he said, it's really hard, not to mention that the chip I have to solder in that has connection so close there's no way to do it without making short. So you say that, Hando, but there are tricks, and if you look on YouTube, there's a ton of things about soldering. And one of the big ones is how to do those tiny connections. If you put the flux in the right way and put it around, you can actually make it so you can do a gross solder or cross where it's ugly. But when you pull it off, it cleans it up automatically. So there are some tricks out there to make soldering very easy, even in very delicate and tight areas. I say this, but at the same time, I cannot do this because because I am terrible. My hands are too shaky to solder small components, which is partly, though, why I was learning all this. There's a ton of tutorials on how to do it on YouTube. So check those out. And finishing up your email, you were talking about Mark Wahlberg and the Boston Marathon bombing that happened a few years ago on Patriots Day, and it said, I was prepared not to like it, but it was wicked great, which is about as Bostonian as you could possibly be, talking about something. Saying, everyone should watch it, stop being a bunch of slacking off slackers, and let's play some PUBG. Your pal, Hando. And so, yes, everybody, by the way, if you haven't picked it up, the community has been playing a lot of, Player Underground's Battleground or something like that, what it's actually called. But PUBG is the lower thing. If you search on it online, just look for Players Underground, and you can find
Player Unknown's Battleground.
Player Unknown's, you're right. Player Unknown's Battleground. It sounds like your audio may not be coming through your...
one of the last things I tried was turning on the webcam to see if that would do it.
So I think it's going through that at the moment because you sound hollow and big, which would make sense. But anyhow, so...
What are you saying? Sorry, call me fat.
I said hollow.
Okay.
But yes.
Testing this. How's that?
It still sounds like it's on your webcam.
I don't understand Linux. There's no real way to change things. You know, like the GUI's crap. It's nothing changing.
Yes, it's because Linux isn't made for actual people to use. It's made for like servers to run scripts, and that's kind of like it. So
I think I need to restart the call for it to work. Okay, let me try this.
By all means. So we'll get Ken back here, and he'll have better sounds. But thank you very much for the email, Hendo. We appreciate it, and thank you for sharing your geek call. Geek cred. We always want to hear what you've been up to. So
how's that?
Oh, listen to that sweet, sultry, sexy Scottish voice right there.
Okay, now I know which one it is. It's the one that's called Analog Input GF110 High Def Audio Controller. Obviously, I mean,
well, duh.
I should have known it was that one and not the other three with the same name. Actually, me.
Hey, we've talked about my issues with Windows and audio devices, which partly was what destroys the show on occasion, and how I will, you plug any device into a different USB port by accident, and all of a sudden it's version 3 or 8 of however many. Like each port it defines itself as its own versus knowing that it's the same damn device in a different port. That is so annoying. So I have to change scripts to actually adjust if I ever have to change which port I'm using. Oh, it's so... That's a good way of putting it, Hando. That's that full-bodied Ken voice. So anyhow, again, thank you for the emails. We appreciate it. All right, Ken, it's on to your geek cred now that we have everything sorted.
Oh, yeah. I forgot all about that. I had to close everything, so let me just open that up again to remember what I did. I found it was very simple to remember. So I have been playing a game on and off. 2 games, actually. One I actually had to note down. The one I've been playing the most isn't a game. It's called Trimps.
What?
I don't think you ever played it. Trimps. If you Google it, anybody can play it. It's completely free, and it's silly little. In fact, there's a link there in the notes for anybody interested. It's trimps.github.io. It's a resource management type game. It's like a kind of one of these clicking games, except you don't really need to click. In fact, you can't.
So
really
it's like Clicker Heroes, where you don't actually click after the first 2 levels.
Yeah, it's pretty good actually. I've been thoroughly enjoying it, and it's great because I can do other stuff, and it's fine. It's not freaking out. I have it going on my work laptop actually. Is where I play it. I don't play it on anything else, and it's great because I can't do too much in it. So it's a nice little distraction occasionally that keeps me sane.
But you can't lose yourself in it.
Yeah, I really can't. There's just not enough stuff to do. So. It's pretty good for that. It's enjoyable. It's a good little game, and I do genuinely recommend it for that reason. It's a lot of fun. Another thing I've been playing on and off is Rimworld. So I realized that the Mac that I have can actually support with Rimworld, unlike everything else. Actually manage it, and so I have been playing it here and there. And it's good fun. I like Rimworld. It's a lot of fun. And the only problem is the Mac can only handle tiny little maps. And after an hour of playing it, I pretty much run out of resources. And then unless I cheat, that's it. Also, the entire game is really just beating the RNG monster. It's got very little to do with actual gaming. Gotcha. It's a case of, you're playing the game, you're trying to survive against the horrible winters or the lethal summers or whatever it is on the planet you're on. And you're also trying to overcome the psychosis behind every single character. So even if your dude has like perfect health, perfect mental health, occasionally they might just get in a bad mood and have a psychotic breakdown. In fact, I had this one game where I decided after I got really mad at the RNG monster just destroying everything, and in fact, lightning struck my abode straight after some raiders attacked my homeland. Killed like 3 of my dudes. The last 2 were in bed, injured, healing up. Lightning struck the building and it all set on fire, and neither of my 2 guys could walk. There was nothing I could do with that. It's an entirely random number generator. I was so mad about this that I killed the game, started a new one, and I decided, using one of the mods that I had installed, I could truly customize my characters so they're not random. And I made an android who had max skills and everything. But he started off with no resources, nothing at all. It was just him. And I thought, well, you know what? He's really good at mining. He's really good at everything. He's a good socializer. He can like befriend animals. He can shoot and melee with perfect efficiency. So he should be fine. After about 20 minutes of playing, he had a psychotic breakdown. My android had a psychotic breakdown. And the one thing he did eventually get is he had 3 bears as pets, because I thought it was cool to have bears. Nice. And he taught the bears how to like clean and how to move things around, so that he was no longer spending most of his time doing like dumb labor. He could concentrate on actually building, getting power, and all these important things, food, etc. But then he went on a psychotic break and killed all 3 bears with his bare fists because he was an awesome android. But the RNG monster just raised his head again, made him go crazy, and he killed everything nearby. Went off into the wilderness, took down an entire like herd of sheep, like 12 sheep. He just mauled them all to death.
Okay.
Then he got too cold and died. Again, there was nothing I could have done. Just not, and I kind of hate that about Rimworld. Even if you cheat, you can't outdo the fact that the game will just break itself after a while, and that just really annoys me. You know, it just annoys the hell out of me.
Huh. Yeah, it's never fun when you can't affect the actual change in something. When it's, like you said, random number generator, it's just like, so I just lose because you did this.
Yeah,
okay.
I lost because the random number generator said it's time for you to lose.
Eek.
That sucked. It sucked. So, yeah, I've been playing that on and off, but not very much, to be honest. I wish I could play it more. And finally, I've been watching... I actually had one more I wanted to bring up. Do you remember that film? It's apparently a Canadian manga. Oh, I remember the name. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Yeah. No, it's so yeah, it was a comic book styled after manga, and I did Matthew Patel from that, and the movie came out. It was actually surprisingly right after, followed it very well. It was one of the best movie adaptations of the manga I think you could have done for a live action. Yes, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. It's amazing.
It was okay. Yeah, it was all right. I watched it for the second time this week because I thought to myself, people loved it and I didn't, and I'm going to watch it again to see if I like it. And the problem is, I absolutely despise Scott Pilgrim, the main character.
That makes anything difficult. That makes anything difficult, yes.
He's such a douchebag.
Yes.
He has, okay, first of all, he dates somebody underage, which is pretty bad in itself, right? That alone is a questionable act.
She's not underage. She's just at that cusp
17.
of... Yes, which is on that cusp.
The thing is, it's also the environment she comes from. Like, her parents don't let her out after dark and stuff. Like, she's clearly childlike mentality, and they don't even get the cold hands or anything because she's so childlike. Like, she is truly innocent and sweet, and fair enough if maybe she was, living on her own for the past few years and matured and whatever else. But she was very childlike. It was a little weird in itself. Now, that wasn't why I hated him. I sort of gave, like you said, it's on the cusp. So and here in the UK, it is 16 is legal age, right? So technically speaking, I'm like, well, you know what?
I think Canada's 16 as well or something. So yeah.
Well, whatever. Yeah, okay, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, everybody in the film was also calling him on it. Like, you're dating somebody in high school.
They were joking on him, basically saying that she was a bit young, kind of thing. And so they were joking on that.
Yeah, but the joke comes from something, doesn't it? I mean, it is kind of a So anyway, that was a bit weird in itself. Then he cheats on her because he feels like it and is a pussy. Because he's so socially awkward that he can't actually break up with her. What an absolute ass.
Which they do mention in the film, yeah.
They do, but they don't even make him, like, apologize, really. He kind of does. But
no, he's
she
like
was
the most
already...
passive person. He, like, wanders away from it like, I gotta go pee now.
Yeah, he's just such a douchebag. Like, that the fact that he's socially inadequate in every sense does not make it okay for him to be an asshole. No, that's not how it works. But he's the main character. It's pretty much the only reason he gets to be an asshole. Like, you have to feel sorry for him. He's the main character. No, he's a douchebag. He's an absolute wank. I hate him. Not only that, but he throws off so many warning signs throughout the whole thing. So when he starts dating whatever her name is, the new character, the one with the funny hair.
Ramona Flowers versus Knives.
Flowers.
Yes, the young girl was Knives.
When he starts dating Ramona Flowers, he's extremely judgmental, and he says he's not sure about her anymore because she changed her hair color. You cheated on your girlfriend for somebody who you're not even sure of because of her hair color anymore. First of all, what the hell? Next, why did Ramona why was she even interested in him? He had the personality of a pile of dirt. He doesn't have a personality.
Because she needed something.
I'm retarded.
She needed something different than all of her exes, which were all over the top personalities.
Right. So the entire thing was, but he's a nice guy. He's not! He cheated, and he's an asshole. How is he a nice guy? Like, he is worse than the exes. He is the worst one. He's terrible. He is so bad. And he's extremely violent, by the way. That's not okay.
Okay, the violence was brought upon him.
Not really.
He's doing the concert, and a guy jumps in and literally starts fighting him right away. Matthew Goldell jumps right in and starts fighting. Everyone else comes to him like, and I'm here to kick your butt. You know, because Skater Dude's just like, hey, and sends his entire support cast to whoop him. And so it's not that he is asking for the violence, it's brought to him. Everyone comes to attack him just because he's with Ramona. I give you all the other stuff about him being a complete douchebag.
I also didn't like the fact that during the fight with the final boss dude, the first time he fights him before the time rewinds and uses his level, his
before his extra life, yep.
He uses the power of love and it fails.
Yes.
That
Which is
kind of
great,
shows something.
No, it's great. They're saying that it's not all about love. Like, love's not going to conquer everything. It's got a little more logic than that.
Okay. And what else was my other point? I had one other really dumb thing I wanted to point out. Apparently Knives is just the most dumb person ever. She gets cheated on and obviously dumped, and clearly they were cheating, by the way. Like, all the way through the thing, they met each other and it was really awkward and it was really obvious. And then she keeps coming back to him, and he continues to just run away from her. It's just such a douchebag move. He is just nothing but a twat. Even his friends are assholes. Like the gay guy who keeps stealing his sister's boyfriends.
Boyfriends, yeah.
Well, yeah, I see how it's funny, but he's a douchebag. Like, he is. He's a douchebag.
Yes.
And lastly, why was Ramona Flowers even vaguely interested in him when the first date they have, they go out to the swings and they're sitting there, and she says to him, "So what is it you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm kind of between jobs right now," which is the biggest sign of absolute tosser you could ever see, right? Like, if you're dating somebody and they're like, "Oh, I'm between jobs at the moment," it's a big warning sign, really. It's really like he has the personality of a dead fish. He has no job perspective, and he's in a band, and he's pretty crap. In fact, when he left the band actually got good and got a contract. He made the band worse. Like, what does he bring to the storyline whatsoever, other than the fact that he exists?
Pretty much it.
So why do people like this film? when the main character
highly
the
entertaining.
worst person.
So he's the worst person, but I find him very entertaining. The sequences and stuff they put him through, I love the way it goes through. Yes, I don't think of him as a good person for a second. I would never want to be Scott Pilgrim. I like the scenes and what kind of happens between the characters and how over the top it is, how much of a comic book brought to life it is. And so it's different in a lot of ways where I will arguably, or I talk about in past some of the anime I watched. One of the big ones was Re:Zero, where the main protagonist in that one is similar in that he's a complete douchebag, has no redeeming qualities, and never really grows or learns the entire anime, and I can't stand him for anything. Hate him. Almost cannot watch the series because of him. The supporting cast, pretty much everyone else but him, is amazing. And so whenever he is not talking, I enjoy the anime. And when he does sit there and start talking for a length, I'm like, oh god, this douchebag needs to die. And so I do understand what you're ranting about, but I like it not because of Scott Pilgrim. I like the world of and all the characters within Scott Pilgrim. So it's the overall mix, and honestly, it's more the pacing and direction of the movie that I love than the characters. It's kind of the sequences and how they do it and how they basically make what seems to be a video game come to life. So that's what I like about it.
I enjoyed a lot of the... okay, first of all, the humor in itself was bad, but whenever they did like side humor, it was really good. It was really weird. Like if they had like a little moment where somebody would have like an off remark that was like a passing 2-second scene, like somebody reacts to something else, the main thing actually happening. That was often really funny. There was quite a few times that I was actually giggling at those points. But whenever any of the main characters said anything that was supposed to be poignant and part of the actual main script, it wasn't clearly just an addition, a side addition. It wasn't funny. It wasn't actually humorous whatsoever, other than the almost accidental humor.
And that's what I say. I think it's got its own brilliance in a lot of things, and I enjoy it as kind of this fun thing to watch. It's not for depth. It's not for anything beyond that. It's just kind of a fun experience. You know, it's and that's it. It's a very lightweight single movie kind of thing on its own, and kind of just the scenes it shows are to me fun and interesting. Even it's like each individual thing. It's the vegan power that the one guy has. It's the demon hipster chicks that Matthew Patel brings in and fires his little silly Indian dance that he does. It's the kind of odd battle of the bands where they show like the avatars of the dragons versus the ape battle and stuff like that. And so it's all the other things around it than just Scott. He is just awkward in everything that he goes through. And it's, like I said, so it's definitely not because he's a nice guy. Not rooting for him in any way throughout it. It's more of just the sequences that occur that I find entertaining. So anyhow, it's funny because Hydroxy in this is saying like, in the IRC is like, your hatred for this character is hilarious. Actually, you are supposed to disapprove of him, and that he and Eleanor Moon are dying listening to our discussion about them. They find it quite entertaining, your hatred. Which is good. No, that's funny. Anyhow, did you have anything else on that? Because I was hoping to transition before it's too late into a little bit of Geekoscope. So unless you have anything else major, so I'm giving you a chance to follow on anything else that you want to bring up after all our technical difficulties that stole our time.
No, that's pretty much everything, sir. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, but yes, cool. I didn't really enjoy it.
All right, then I have a couple quick ones to put out there for people. One of them, if you did not hear, the pre-release and pre-order for the Super Nintendo Classic Edition from Nintendo came out this week. And that is so if you remember the original one that came out, the NES remake, that came out and everybody was like, whoa, this is amazing, I want 60 games on this little retro form factor. Well, GameSpot's telling us that the SNES update came out, and guess what? It's already sold out. So if you didn't get one, too bad. All right, enough of that. So the next one I wanted to bring up is that there were... there's several things I wanted to bring up as a whole. A lot of things just to mention in general is Comic-Con coverage. So San Diego Comic-Con, the big comic event, is happening this weekend, is finishing up today. And there was a lot of things that have come out from it. Unlike a lot of other comic conventions, stuff like that, where you just get a little tidbits, go shopping, this one is actually a place where the industry comes and talks about and shows off new things that they are doing. Coming strong this year were both Marvel Universe and DC Universe. DC showed new trailers from Justice League, as well as talked and revealed that there will be a Wonder Woman Part 2 movie. There will be a standalone Aquaman movie coming out in the end of 2018. And what was the other one with that one? Those are some of the main ones from DC's side, as well as they showed a new extended trailer of the Justice League movie that actually looks pretty good. From the Marvel Universe, they had a bunch of little things. They actually showed, and you can go out there right now on YouTube and find the first trailer from the official Infinity War trailer, where it's the first time seeing most of the characters that we've been introduced to in all the different Marvel movies coming together against Thanos. So they showed the first trailers for that at Comic-Con. But along with that, some of the other news that came out that I wanted to mention, and I have links in the show notes for you guys to explore further on your own, as we won't have time today, is that there were trailers for Stranger Things on Netflix. They showed a Season 2 trailer for that one. Won't be out till next year, but looks very good. Westworld, for anyone who hasn't watched Westworld, you are missing out. That series is phenomenal. And I just lost your video. And with that, the trailer for it is also a long ways out kind of one, but it's one that just kind of said, hey, this is happening, and it looks exciting. One that I'm a big fan of and looking forward to is the trailer that came out for Ready Player One. And so this is the book that I think is a phenomenal experience of like 80s and early 90s pop culture, especially around gaming and music, where a virtual existence that takes place in the thing called the Oasis as VR has gone steps further on in full immersion. And it's one of the books that I say I recommend it as equally as I recommend reading Ender's Game, the first book, in that it's a fairly quick read.
Oh, wow.
And dude, I love Ready Player One as much as Ender's Game. I put them almost on the exact same level of there's twists and turns, but it's a love of kind of the experience of going through it, where I've read Ready Player One like 3 or 4 times. I've read Ender's Game 4 or 5 times, where I can now finish Ender's Game in a day, in a single sitting. Ready Player One, neither of my copies are available because one is with my friend in Australia, and I don't know if she's back in the States yet, and the other one is with my friend Shady, and I need to get back from him because I have 2 copies of Ready Player One. And so I'm super excited for it. Is the visualization of a 3D environment of everything we grew up geek. Ready Player One does embody all things geek from the 80s forward. And so they make entire virtual worlds of D&D, of Zork, of like, you know, all your popular movies and stuff that came out in the 80s, you know, Breakfast Club and things like that and stuff, all the way through modern games where even in the trailer you'll see a quick shout where they've got Duke Nukem shooting a rocket launcher at one of the main characters. It's just like so much nerddom packed into one place that this visualization has me stupid excited. Thank you, Hydroxycat. I was wrong about Stranger Things. I was thinking about Aquaman and such. Later is October this year is when Stranger Things Season 2 hits. Very excited for that. Thank you. So those are all trailers you need to go out and check out. There's a bunch of others out there from all of the things for all the regular like comic book movies. The other one that I want to bring up, because this is a definite throwback to my childhood, is an announcement from Engadget that Starcade is coming to Twitch. So Ken, even right away, I'm just going to say, does that mean anything to you?
Absolutely nothing.
I thought so. Because Starcade, for those who don't know, and this is for the Handos of the world, and maybe the Hydroxycuts in there with me, is that Starcade was an 80s television show all about arcade gaming. And so it's the actual article says, Starcade, the 80s TV show that participants compete in arcade video games, will be back at the end of August. No, not as a reboot, which is in the works, but as a Twitch marathon. The video gaming platform has teamed up with Shout Factory, the studio that acquired the rights to create the reboot, to stream all 123 episodes of the original show. Starcade ran from 1982 to 1984 on TBS and featured arcade classics like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Galaga, and Centipede. And basically what it was is you would watch on television live events of somewhat pros or just good gamers that were the absolute geeks in the world play arcade games against each other. And it was epic. I remember watching it on TV and just going like, oh my God, I want to be here. I want to do this. And so I'm really, really looking forward to that. And I will have to try to like set aside a marathon time to watch Starcade. So that was like my big like, All right, I'm going to give up for you, sir, at least one article. So if you've got one that's pressing and you have to do, please do it, because I have a whole nother litany that I need to at least get into.
I have one that I really want to, because it means a lot to me in nostalgia ways. So this is, it's actually been on our Facebook for a while. It came out a few days ago. But RuneScape has an announcement. So I've never been one for enjoying RuneScape in the modern version, because the modern version has been redone in HTML5, which was fine, but it's all microtransactions and ads and trying to get you to pay with microtransactions, etc. It sucks, right?
Yes.
However, RuneScape and old school RuneScape are coming to mobile.
Oh, okay.
So the funny thing is, when I was about 13 or so, I used to imagine the idea of being able to play RuneScape at school. And I thought that was like the coolest thing ever at the time, was being able to get it on my phone. And I remember trying to look it up at the time, like, can I? Because I could go on the web with my phone at the time, and I thought, well, why can't I go on RuneScape.com and play RuneScape? It's just a website after all.
That'd be nice.
But obviously, it wasn't supported Java back then, etc. And it still isn't. You still can't really do it without extreme difficulty. But publisher and developer Jagex announced the two Western MMORPGs will be the first of their kind to provide full cross-play between PC and mobile platforms.
What?
This will allow players to jump between playing on either platform while keeping all of their progress and characters.
Okay, that alone is pretty freaking cool.
It is. It's very cool. Players can choose to log out from their PC and continue the RuneScape adventure on the mobile device, picking up from the same in-game moment they left off on their PC. Naturally, you'll also be able to just play either on your mobile device or your PC as well. It will come to mobile this winter. That's the old school one, with the actual modern RuneScape coming sometime thereafter. So they're testing with the old school one first, which is the one I actually care about. RuneScape was first released in 2001, which is an old game, and has over 250 million players still.
Wow.
Yeah,
no,
they
that's
said they've been wanting to
exciting.
do this since 2013. So yeah, it's really cool. I might actually start playing if I can play it on my phone.
Well, so the idea that playing it on my PC when I'm home and going with and still doing things, that to me sounds epic. Because while I may not run a dungeon, right, while on the mobile, unless I'm stuck on a train or something for something like the time, but if I could do some of my farming things, resourcing, selling, auction house, stuff like that on mobile, like the little things, the stuff that you only need toilet time to do, that would be epic. And then bring it right back to your regular full PC experience. More things need to do that. More things need to figure out that you can integrate mobile, not just in the way that like Fallout 4 did it, where it's a cool little second screen Pip-Boy, but actually integrate full game play. That would be so cool.
I'm
that
100% behind this. Yeah.
That excites me. Very cool. All right. So I got one, and this is going to be it's several articles, and I'm not sure exactly how I want to talk to it. I have two that I specifically want to bring up, but got to go into. So we've talked about it multiple times on this show and throwing it out again, and you guys should all be aware, and it shouldn't be new. But this is a note that more than 10 million people have flooded in the U.S. the FCC, the Federal Communications Board, with net neutrality comments. The Federal Communications Commission has a lot of reading to do, and if its agency wants to take the commenting period on net neutrality seriously. After introducing a proposal in May to roll back existing rules that were implemented in 2015 under previous administration, the FCC opened up the subject to public comments. So far has collected over 10 million opinions. That is a new record at almost twice as many comments as were filed 2 years ago when they proposed the existing rules regulation the internet as a utility. According to CNET, around 2 million of the current comments were filed last week when thousands of activists, technology firms, and individuals participated in a massive online campaign called Day of Action, which you may have seen on many sites, which was essentially an internet protest to save net neutrality, drum up support for keeping current rules in place. All right, main thing I want to do is bring up the fact that this is happening, and I want to throw it out there that it's not too late. You can actually still go do something about it. Now, there's several ways that this works. One of the things, this is the one that I'm really throwing out for people that I want people to pay attention to, is there
like a letter to a senator.
Essentially, it's a letter to the FCC. This is actually for the comments on the FCC. As well as I recommend, yes, contact your local representation, because I cannot go in any way other than getting somewhat political with this. But the current ruling administration in the United States does not give a rat's ass about personal protections or individual rights. They care about corporations making money. I am sorry, but the current president is in the pockets of big business. If you believe that big businesses have your personal individual rights and best interests in heart, then by all means, support it. But give me a freaking break. Trying to get rid of net neutrality helps nobody but ISPs and big businesses take control of your access to the internet. The internet is something everyone should have access to. We're in a modern world where it should be a utility. It should be free. It should be something everyone has. You can almost not exist in the world today in a modern way without access to the internet. And we do not need ISPs to be gatekeepers to our data or how we interact with the web. To push this point a step further, because yes, I will get pissed the F off about this issue. You should all care, and I would heavily, at least for our world, net neutrality and what I can do on the internet is one of my biggest touch point issues. More so than abortion rights, than gay marriage rights, than gun rights, than any of these others, because those are all nice to have whatevers, and yes, you can go into why you care so much about them. The internet is something we all use every day, whether you think to admit it or not. It's the way commerce exists.
This way, regardless of your political opinion, where's the main place you go to discuss your political opinions? The internet, right? So whether you're pro-gay rights or whatever, or anti or whatever else, you're going to lose your platform to even speak about it. You know, like that. This is I wouldn't say it's more important, less important, but you know what? It's going to make everything else a lot more difficult.
It is. This is one of the more important things I think is out there. This writing a letter that's basically a form letter and just filling in your details, and then please go extra into the free text box and talk about what they ask. Why is the internet important to you? Fill that out, but also please copy whatever the overall message and find the address to your local representatives and tell them you care. And tell them, you know what, I won't ever vote for you or your party again if you don't do something about this. Let them know that it's not just a one-time thing, that you will care and that you will follow it and it matters. These people are your representatives. They are not your controllers. They do not own us. We own them. And so the representatives need to be held to task. So to give it an example, one of the articles, and this is something that may or may not be tied into it, depending on your view, but this is that recently, Verizon says it's not really trying to throttle Netflix traffic, it's just testing. But what came out is some Verizon wireless customers made a fuss over discovering that video streaming from Netflix was being capped, otherwise known as throttling. The issue seemed to speak at the heart of net neutrality, with regulations in place that are supposed to prevent wireless carriers and ISPs from unfairly throttling traffic. The question is, was Verizon being unfair? They, quote, said, "We've been doing network testing over the past few days to optimize the performance of video applications on our network. The testing should be completed shortly, and customer video experience was not effective," quote. What Verizon calls an optimization test, more like a hard cap of 10 megabit per second. According to tests that were being performed on Netflix's own speed test tool, which you've not been to, is fast.com. If you go, or I think it's fast.com or fast.org, but fast.com, I believe it is Netflix's tool to test performance. But everyone that was in the area under Verizon Network was seeing they were stuck at 10 megabit per second, while at the same time the tests under speed test showed the full range of speeds that people expected. In fact, at that time, they got nearly 82 megabit on the exact same LTE network. The Verge also reported that apparently Netflix throttling, which elicited a response from Verizon saying the article was, quote, dead wrong and makes no sense, that it was not just Netflix that was affected, but all online video. Now, Verizon says they're constantly testing the network. It's what they do to optimize performance, and they test it across the board. Now, the thing that people need to realize, while this is true that, as Verizon says, their customer experience should not be unaffected in the test since 1080 video doesn't require 10 megabit, true, but Netflix requires 25 megabit for 4K. And it's one of those things that, as a cap, anyone else who's watching on the same network is going to run into it. Essentially, what this was a preview into what happens when this administration F's you in the digital A with your rights to being able to access the internet however you like. When they come in and basically...
They are going to screw you over unless somebody stands up and says no. In fact, unless everybody stands up and says no. That's the only way they'll stop, because priority number one for any elected official is
to get reelected.
To get elected in the first place. Then the second most important thing is get elected again, right?
Yep.
Above anything else. All they care about. So if you don't make a fuss, they're not going to care. They care about money after that.
And so
make a fuss. Take away their election. Take away the re-election.
So I posted this on our Twitter feed. I posted it on a social network, and I'm telling you guys now here as well, please participate. Please make your voice noted. I can't understand why anyone would want our government to free up the internet's ability for ISPs to do whatever the hell they want with your internet. To allow ISPs to basically charge you tiered access, to force you to pay extra packages for different kind of things. Because we're especially in a time where right now there are more people streaming than there are doing regular traditional cable access or DirecTV through television. Those companies are scared to death because they don't have ways to make you cost more for your internet right now because of net neutrality. Give them a moment where they can start charging you premium packages like they do on cable networks, and they are going to do so. If you think that getting on the internet costs a lot now, just wait until net neutrality is gone. And all of a sudden, you're going to be paying hundreds of dollars a month to get access to the stuff you really want and the speed you think you need it. And this is just one of those, I don't know why every single person who touches the internet, which is the majority of the first world nations in this world, aren't pissed off that any government would sit there and say, no, we care more about corporations making a buck off our people than we do about our people being at the forefront of technology and advancement and ingenuity, and would not go for net neutrality. I don't get it. It hurts me when people don't think it's a big deal. And so that's my rant. That's my rave. I got to get it out there. And so thank you for indulging me, everyone, because like I said, I am very amped up about this. There's so many threads to how net neutrality is important, and this administration does not freaking care about you when it comes to your digital rights. The fact that the person in charge of the FCC has from the get-go said they want to kill net neutrality, and that they were a lobbyist for ISPs in the back, who do you think they care about? Who pays them? And so I just, conflict of interest up and down. I'm so pissed off. Sorry. Okay, I got to go with that. That's legit. It's putting us to the end of the show. So I'm going to let that go and say, Ken, could you please lead us out? I apologize to everyone for the challenges we had today. We will continue on, but we'll see you again next week. I don't think we have an issue. But Ken and I will discuss as we're going to have some on and offs as we have scheduled stuff coming up.
I'm fine for next week, but I don't know what will be like in the future after that. All right, you've been listening to ShowX on VitaProductions.com. Thank you for dealing with our technical issues and the likes. To help us resolve it, there is one way that you can certainly assist. We are supported through patreon.com/ShowX. Even $1 a month goes towards us maintaining our software licenses, our hardware requirements, etc., to keep this show going, because it is not a free endeavor, sadly. It does cost us money, and ideally, you guys can help us soften the blow there. Check us out on a variety of other places if you don't want to assist that way. You can actually share our shows. Share them on your Facebook. Share them on your Twitter. We much appreciate it. Retweet or share what we put up on our pages. That's all you need to do, and it's a great advertisement. Otherwise, it's very expensive to advertise. Check us out on twitter.com/VTWShowX, twitter.com/DocDead, and twitter.com/GoHex for the show, for Mr. Wade and for myself. Search ShowX on Facebook to find us there. You can also check out the forums and take part in the fun threads that are going on there, including the art contest. Please do check that out under the ShowX sub board. You can also send us an emails to showx@vitaproductions.com. And I think that's the majority of it. If you want a game after the show, I shan't be there, but others may. So please do let them know if you plan to. Say so in the IRC, say so on Twitter. Gather a little crowd and play some Player Unknown's Battleground or whatever else you want to play. They're all good games out there. Thank you for having me on the show, sir.
Thank you very much for being here, and thank you all for listening. Also, a quick problematic notice: if you've been trying to listen to us on Alpha Geek Radio, they are going through some upgrades to do some automations so that the show host can just play their stuff and they catch it. I don't know if it's done yet. You may be able to catch us on the video link, but I don't think their audio-only link is doing it the same way, because I know our side of the encoders have not connected to them. So while that's going on, keep an eye here. You can listen to us and watch us on VTWProductions.com, as well as our YouTube page, so follow us there. All right, everybody, thank you very much, and we will catch you again next week. Please email us in, and please play games together, because we are here as a gaming community. All right, y'all, thank you very much. We'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. See you next zombie.